Hi, Mike. Thank you for joining PowerTalk Show powered by Business Talks Weekly. Thank you so much for accepting our invitation and joining our channel today. Before we dive into a conversation, can we talk a bit about your professional background and what led you to start Straza Consulting?
Yes, well, thank you for having me on. I have been working with businesses, started my own companies probably for over 25 plus years, anywhere from healthcare to tech. You name it, I've been involved in it, to food. I have just always been part of running and operating businesses for a very long time. I love working with people and I love helping other people start their own journey in entrepreneurship.
Wonderful. So I read your bio and it talks about fractional COO and CFO. Can you walk through us what does that mean and how does a fractional CEO and CFO help in any organization?
Yeah, so for some people it's a newer term, but it's been around for a while. So I've over the years, since I've owned businesses and run other businesses for people, it's basically taking that CFO and COO role, the chief operating officer and this chief financial officer, and it's basically going into organizations, for-profit and nonprofit companies, and helping them with their processes, their operations, how to run more efficiently. And then the fractional CFO is more looking at their finances and figuring out how does their finances match up with their operations. So people hire me minimum like 6 months and over, a year or two. And basically I go in there and I look at their operations and their finances, help them clean up what they have, and just to really try to make sure I understand what they're trying to accomplish, working with the CEO very closely and helping them figure out how can they get to the next level, next step? How do they scale? How do they actually make money? And so then I look at what they have and basically help them walk them through the next step of being successful.
Wonderful. So who are your core target audience? Are you targeting startups or are you targeting small and medium enterprises?
I'm a little bit of both. So a lot of them are small, medium businesses. Startups, I kind of help them, kind of guide them next steps if they're looking for funding, next funding round or what they're trying to accomplish. Sometimes startups tend to not have the cash to be able to pay for a full-time person, so that's why sometimes they can afford, when they get the first round of funding, they can afford a fractional CFO, COO, so they can get to that next step. Because usually, as you know, a lot of entrepreneurs, it's all yourself or a friend or someone else and you're like, "How do I make this happen?" And after a while, it's like you can only do so much. There's only so many hours in a day, and there's only so much a person can do themselves. So that's why coming in as a fractional part-time in there and helping them and not spending the full amount of money to have a full-time CFO or COO in their organization. But with small medium businesses, I've worked even alongside with the CEO. Sometimes they already have a CFO or COO, but there's still things they want to do or accomplish. And they're so busy. They just don't have enough time to really focus on like new projects or expansion. So then I come in there and work side by side with them and help them, advise them how to get to the expansion part that they want, or to grow into more than just the market they're in. If they're in a local state or country or wherever they want to expand internationally, then I can help them walk them through what that next step is.
Understood. Mike, can you walk us through with what is the difference between a COO and a CFO? What kind of a role CEO plays and what kind of a role does CFO play?
Yeah, so for operations, chief operating officer is really looking at the full organization and saying, okay, how do I take the CEO's vision and dream and mission and saying, how do I make that happen? Because sometimes it's like, how do we work with government? How do we work with individuals, unions, all that? So operationally, I look at it as like, how do they distribute what they're selling? So if they're like a product they're trying to move out, how do they have, packaging, delivery? How do they, what kind of workers do they need? What is the capacity they need? And how do we get that product out to the customer or to another end user, another business? So that's the operations, really understanding how that works. But then with that, you understand the finances. What does it take? What does it cost to do these things? How do you do that? How does that happen? So as a financial person that I am, of understanding numbers and understanding what your profit margins are, what your expenses are, and trying to figure out how that best fits to so the operations side can fully operate. So if you don't have cash or cash flow, and that's the thing is, as a chief financial officer, is understanding cash flow. when money gets tight, how do you get through those moments and times to be able to really continue to grow your company or to move forward? Because what you don't want to do is stop and start a business. Does not help your customers, doesn't help your employees by wondering if they're going to be doing anything the next day.
Understood. Understood. Mike, as per my understanding, I see like consulting business is a very crowded space. So I have two parts to this question. A, is there any methodology or a process that you have put in place that helps your businesses work around? And B, how difficult is it to scale a consulting business?
Yeah, so really the this my methodology of working with people and how I do these things is I kind of first I have to know who the CEO is and what they're really wanting and understanding who they are and what their mission is and what their vision is for a company. So understanding that first, so just really trying to get that part of it. And then seeing how the organization works and talking to the employees, talking to other C-level people and saying, this is my understanding, see how they work and how they interact with their customers and how they interact with their employees. So then that's kind of the first part of it. And then really seeing, for me, it's always been something not easy, but it's been comes natural to me is seeing the patterns of people. That is the biggest thing is communication and understanding how people interact and how they react to different situations, good situations and bad situations. Then I take that process and really work with them and refine how they can do better because we all can improve. I can improve, you can improve. We all try to how do we do better the next day? What is the next thing? We will fail, but how will we do what will we do after we fail? What's the next step of being successful? And then with the scaling is really trying to understand is how do I scale? That's just something a lot of people try to understand is like growing a company is different from scaling a company. You're trying to scale, meaning your revenue and expenses. How can you not, if you're increasing your revenue at, 10 times the amount. So if you say you're at $1 million and you're get to 10 to 20, 30 million, but you're making less money as profit as a $10 million company as you were as a 1 million. Well, then you have to figure out how do I scale in order to sustain that? Because a lot of people start as an entrepreneur, a new business owner, and they're making good money because there's only like five of you. And there's five people, and you're doing probably 10 to 15 people's jobs, and you're like, we're saving money. Yeah, but you're working a lot. You're not really making money, you're expending it. But the problem is, you start adding people on, and those new people aren't going to do what the original owners or partners did. So that's the thing is you start increasing your size of your employees, your revenue is going up, but your expenses are overtaking your revenue. So that's where I come in and try to help you figure out how do you do both, increase your revenue, but also keep your expenses at a level to where it's reasonable to continue for that growth.
Understood. So, Michael, everybody is talking about AI and large language modules.
Yes.
Is there anything that you are working with or integrating with your consulting methodology?
Yeah, so AI is it's a big topic. It's growing. We're ever learning. I'm constantly reading things and trying to understand what it's going to do and what it's not going to do right now. And a lot of people are concerned about jobs. Certain jobs are looking like, oh, I could lose my job because of AI. And it's like, okay, so you have to learn what that is and what it's not and try to grow with AI because it's going to be here. It continues to, everyone's investing in it right now. So, if you want to invest in AI, this is a great time to do it. Learn as much as possible. Don't be a late adopter. And that's what happens to a lot of us is we wait and then we miss it or we wait and certain people lose their jobs. So it'll help refine. It's not going to replace people completely. It's going to improve efficiencies and help you with some day-to-day things, but you're still going to need a person who thinks critically and looks at it that maybe AI can't do at this moment in time. So, I mean, it's still at its infancy. And even though it's amazing at times when we used AI for a variety of things, there's still things it cannot do. Yeah, looking at it, how can you incorporate that in your company and what that also reassure the people that work for you that they still have a job. This is where we're probably going to take you, and you're going to have to move with it and learn something that's a little bit different than AI can handle. And I think that's the thing is continuing learning and figuring out how do you find your place in the AI world in the future.
Absolutely, absolutely. Michael, you have been a leader for such a long tenure. What do you feel is the biggest challenge leaders currently face in this market and industry?
A lot of it is just trying to sort out what you hear versus what is reality, what is not. And you have to really sort that out, make sure you're continuing to communicate and over communicate with people because what we've gotten, it's always been a struggle for people to communicate. But now that we're in such a world of constant information being flooded, we get lost into what's out there and not staying focused on what needs to really happen. So we have to stay focused on what our business is, what we're trying to do, how do we grow it, how do we not get behind, but do it in a way that makes sense for you as an individual, you as a company. How do you make that happen and really, still paying attention, but focusing on what you're trying to accomplish?
So, what advice would you give to a founder or a leader trying to grow a company without burning out or losing focus?
Asking for help. A leader, there's a lot they're trying to do. If they're the visionary and the one that's really focused on the business and just have all these ideas, you need some people that can help take those ideas and make them reality. And also staying focused because there's a million things we can all do is we're all entrepreneurs or business people. A lot of us are just dreamers. And it's like, you got to stay focused because if you spread yourself too thin or you burn out, you're going to be no good to the people that you are trying to help or the people you employ. It's just going to implode and you're just basically not going to have a business. And then people are, it's not what you want. And so, yeah, you just have to stay focused, ask for help, find people that are smarter than you or smarter than me. That's the goal is we're always, like I said, always trying to learn and trying to really grow and bring in people that are experts that can make your business better. I mean, that's the goal.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, Michael, what's next for you and Straza Consulting? Are you working on any technology innovation, or is there any specific strategic direction that you're moving ahead?
Yeah, right now, again, AI, looking at that technology, talking to people I know that are using it in different fields, because I have some people in all different areas, not just corporate CEOs, CFOs, COOs. I'm talking to people that are in the media industry and all these different industries and understanding how they're using it and what they're doing because we all play a part and we have to figure out how we all work together and what is changing in technologies, always developing stuff behind the scenes, working with people to see what the next step is. How can we use technology? Technology is here to stay. It's going to continue to grow. And we have to, if you want to be involved in things, you're going to have to stay ahead of it or with it to really make sure you're understanding it and then continue to, surround myself with a lot of experts and younger people that are really learning the things that were not available at my time when I first started, being an entrepreneur. There's a lot of efficiencies, a lot of things. People just think differently. And it's like, I want to be around people that are like, hey, have you ever thought of this? No, I haven't. And I'm okay with that. It's like, that's why you bring in a very diverse group of people that can really challenge and also come up with new ideas. That's how creativity works. Try to find people even outside of my industry that are creative people that are maybe artists or other things that they just their minds think differently, which is great. You don't need everyone to be a business person to make something happen.
Absolutely. One final question, Mike, before we let you go. If you look back at your journey, what advice would you give to your younger self?
Give myself a little bit more well, it'd be grace or just more leeway. In my early years, when you fail and do things, you beat yourself up, and you have to learn that yes, we all will fail. That is okay. It's not a problem. It's just like, what do you do after that? What do you do when you get back up, and how do you accomplish those things? I wish I learned more when I was younger, but now as I get older, I was like, I'm just absorbing as much as possible. But yeah, it's just again learn and also enjoy. I mean, that's the thing is I wish some of the things I would have enjoyed a little bit more and then really, reflect on that now. It's like you gotta enjoy the journey. You gotta enjoy what you're doing. And yeah, there's hard times and long hours, but at the end of the day is like, did you do something that was meaningful? And did you do something that maybe improves people around you or the community you're in?
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Michael, for your time today and joining our channel. It's been a wonderful conversation. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.